Hello, guys, and welcome to what is effectively episode 0 of the Marigold Standard, our brand new Marigold-centric podcast here on the Stardom cast. I am your host, Rob Good, and I'm joined as ever by the shiniest Marigold you will ever see. It's Mr. Matt Turner. Matt Turner, it seems like only an hour or so ago that I saw you last, or spoke to you last, should I say.
Yeah, we got a lot of really cool stuff. Again, we didn't podcast for about a week together as you're an unofficial not move, not move. And now this is by the end of today, it'll be 4 episodes in about 3 days. So making up for lost time, my brother, making up for lost time. But a very interesting week in the world of not only just pro wrestling, but what we do in the Joshi pro wrestling scene with the Stardom show, which we had a full review of. And then we have this fantastic interview that you were able to acquire. So great job, brother. And then, of course, this Marigold show starting up. So really interesting time, busy times, Rob. But we are here to take on full task. We are ready to get forearmed in the face and I guess left-handed lariat, for the lack of a better term, for all of your news and source. Yeah.
Absolutely. So obviously Monday, as we record, so the 20th of May, we'll see Marigold make its first bow in the Joshi scene. Marigold Fields Forever, airing live, Wrestle Universe. You can sign up for free right now. I believe they're offering a 7-day free trial. But yes, we were able to sort of reach out, contact Marigold, and obviously at the moment they're doing a lot of stuff to hype this new show. Not that they even need to, because they sold out 1,400 tickets inside Korakuen within, I think, half an hour or something ridiculous. But even so, I thought I'm going to ask. And actually, we asked if we could interview MIRAI, who obviously you know from the title of this episode, we managed to achieve, which is amazing. Amazing. We managed to ask some questions to MIRAI. She sent them back in written form. Hopefully in the next couple of months, between Stardom and Marigold, hopefully there will be something in the way of video interviews. But what we thought we'd do is, because we sent all these questions to MIRAI answered them, and really eloquently, really enlighteningly as well. We thought we would do it as a podcast so that anyone that doesn't want to read the transcript can hear what her answers were, and me and Matt will chat about them. We'll also put them on the website, where you can check out the full transcript of everything that MIRAI answered. So first of all, before we start anything at all, I just want to say a huge thank you to MIRAI for agreeing to do this interview. It's a very, very busy time in Marigold, believe it or not. So really appreciate her time. Massive thank you to Dreamstar Fighting Marigold. Again, hugely busy time there. So thank you again for giving us this opportunity. Thank you to Sonny Gutierrez, friend of the show, Sonny Gutierrez, who literally has bent over backwards to make this happen, despite possibly being the most busy person I've ever known. Like, even Matt Turner, Sonny, might actually be busier, which is a wild thought, to be perfectly honest.
Or Jericho.
Or Jericho,
we were talking. What's really cool about the 2 times we're on talk is Jericho, not to change the subject, but we go on a couple minutes prior and we get to talk to Stacy, who's like basically his engineer and basically sets everything up. And she's great to deal with through emails. And we talked to her for a few minutes. She talks about Chris's schedule. Me and Rob look at each other like, man, we thought we were busy with the podcast and Rob writing books and me with a few jobs. It's like, yeah, between Sonny and Chris, it makes you think like, man, we're busy. We could be busier, and look how successful Sonny and Jericho are. So it's like, I guess that's kind of the goal to shoot for, my man. Let's keep getting busier and keep hitting home runs. But yeah, Sonny is a very, very busy man. So huge thanks to him for helping us out with this interview.
Yeah, massively. And also a huge shout out to Chioka Asakura, who you can follow on Twitter at Chiyoko_Asakura, who just was so lovely in translating our questions to MIRAI. Didn't ask for a dime just asked that we shout them out. And honestly, I cannot thank them enough. Their work, their effort, their kindness, honestly, an absolute pleasure. So please go and follow them at Chiyoko Asakura. Loads of great translation work over there. And again, has been such a huge part of us being able to land this interview with MIRAI. So obviously, episode 1 of the Marigold Standard, the official debut of the Marigold Standard, if you will be Monday night as we record the 20th of May, where myself and Matt will be doing our live review of the Marigold Fields Forever show from Corrigan. However, as I've already said, we wanted to do this as a little preview. So sort of getting into the wrestlers' heads as we get closer and closer to Marigold Fields Forever. So with that being said, let's have a look at the interview. So again, me and Matt sort of put together some questions, trying to cover everything from her early wrestling experiences to her time in Stardom to obviously, the huge point that we wanted to talk about, which was the jump to Marigold. And she was really honest, really helpful in the answers that she gave. So I'll try and do this justice. But we asked, you made your debut in 2019. What was your journey like into wrestling, and what and who were some of your inspirations to start this journey? And obviously, every time I say something from MIRAI, these are quotes. So we haven't changed anything or anything like that. And you'll be able to read along on the transcript, www.thestardomcast.com. MIRAI answered, quote, I am from Iwate Prefecture. When I was in elementary school, I experienced the Great East Japan earthquake. My first encounter with pro wrestling was at a charity match. When I saw it for the first time, I felt the power of pro wrestling. It was truly amazing. It changed the stagnant atmosphere. From there, I became a pro wrestling fan. At first, I didn't think I wanted to be an athlete, but my passion for pro wrestling grew and grew. When I was thinking about my career path in high school, I stopped doing judo, which I'd been doing since elementary school, and I decided to become a pro wrestler. I chose to become a pro wrestler. At first, my parents were very much against it, but I am a woman who does things when she decides to do them. I had no choice but to never give up on this path. I think that's a really inspirational sort of answer. I mean, to start with, I knew that the Iwate earthquake or the Great East Japan earthquake had something to do with it, but I didn't know to what extent. I think it's really cool that she pursued it no matter what in terms of a backlash from family or anything like that. And also to go to the point where you are giving up things that you've been doing, things like judo and things like that, to actually pursue this dream is really quite inspirational. I'd never actually asked this, bearing in mind I've met your dad. What were your family's sort of thoughts on you becoming a pro wrestler? I always meant to ask that.
I was thinking about this answer, and literally as the last sentence, as first, my parents were very much against it. Now, I told you this before, Rob. When I graduated high school, I was maybe about 130 pounds. When I graduated Ring of Honor Dojo, I was $155, 155 pounds. I'm around 204, 205. But to answer your question, my dad, who you met my dad before Aces. I'm blessed to have such a great father, very much against me going to pro wrestling. Literally to the point where he doubted me. He's like, his exact quote was, me at 40, he was 40-some, I think, at the time. Me at 40-some years old, I have a better chance of making the NFL if we do making it through wrestling school. So I was like, okay. Now my dad was my football coach, my baseball coach, the blueprint of what it's like to be a man, a father, a husband. But I was like, so you have like your biggest supporter just doubting you, but really your biggest supporter, you don't realize until then, is really you. I always say the only one that can stop you from your dreams and your goals is that person that stares back at you in the mirror every single day. And I said, you know what? I'm going to prove my dad wrong. Proved him wrong, got through wrestling school, and I realized I needed to get trained again, which I've told the story before. I needed proper training. So I went to Ring of Honor, and my dad said, you're not athletic enough. You are not big enough. You will not get it through the Ring of Honor Academy. Boom. And then here I am, some 21 years later, still taking bumps from time to time. So yeah, my dad was very much against it. My mom was just like, whatever he's going to do, he's going to do. Just let him do it. He's an adult. go and do his thing. So yeah, my dad, who was not only against it, told me not once but twice that I wouldn't get through it, and I got through it. So again, that's just a lot of belief in yourself. And again, it's not like my dad was one of those people that wasn't a father that didn't support his kids. He always did. My sister was in cheerleading. I played all sorts of sports. So did my brother. But when it came to pro wrestling, he's like, you're not going to make it. And I went and proved him wrong. And apparently MIRAI again. But I'm a woman who does things when she decides she wants to do them. Folks, that's very inspirational. Whatever you're doing in life, whatever you want to do, you want to be a pro wrestler, you want to get into podcasting, you want to be a doctor. I don't care if you want to be a professional burger flipper. You do it to the best of your ability and you believe in yourself, and it's amazing what you can achieve. And talking from a personal level, me and Rob talk all the time, but just the insanity of the growth of this podcast. But when you take a step back, when the fact we are putting in the work day in, day out, it's like, it's surprising, but not really. And if you would apply that at anything in life, folks, it's amazing what you can do when you don't take no for an answer. You put in the work and you believe in yourself. And that's exactly what MIRAI has done and clearly made a name for herself in the Japanese wrestling scene over these last few years.
I think as well, is there a certain element of, if your parents, we've all got that little rebellious streak in us. And it's almost a point where if your parents say no, it almost makes you want to do it more. No, I don't think you can do that. And you spoke about how that was a driving factor in you completing the Ring of Honor dojo. But I think there is a certain element of that, isn't there, where you're like, your parents say, not that you can't do it, but that you won't succeed or you won't do it. It acts as a driving force and actually helps you to achieve these goals. And I wonder if that's a little bit of what's happened with MIRAI. But you're absolutely right. Really inspirational. I love that bit right at the end of that. I'm a woman who does things when she decides to do them. And absolutely, MIRAI, why the hell not? So we moved on to talking about the jump to Marigold a little bit. And the question was, having been in Stardom since 2022, you followed Rossy Ogawa to start this new company in Marigold. Can you talk about why you chose to take that leap? Can you tell us why you took the plunge and decided to do so? And MIRAI answered very, very simply. There was one reason why. Quote, the reason for my decision is Rossy Ogawa. I want to wrestle under Rossy Ogawa. I want to follow Rossy Ogawa. That's why I chose Marigold. Hard to find anything else in that answer, Matt, but I think if there was ever a sort of indictment of the inspiration that Rossy has, sort of the following that Rossy has, I feel like is this answer. The fact that MIRAI is willing to leave Stardom to join this new venture simply because she has such an admiration for this man, I think speaks volumes of his inspiration, his effect on the Joshi scene.
It's really, we talked about what's Maya going to do when her contract's up. And if she stays with Stardom, there's reasons. If she goes with Rossy, it's like Rossy was a father figure and knows her 13, 14 years. We look at MIRAI, 2022 to 2024 is 2 years. That's not long in pro wrestling. The fact that she's only worked for Rossy for 2 years and was like, no, I know I was former Wonder champion, former Artist champion, former Goddess champion, and won the Cinderella tournament twice. But I'm going to follow this guy who believed in me. And again, 2 years, she was able to accomplish all that. And it was one win away. Last year, I believe if she defeated Micah, she would have went to the finals of the 5-star Grand Prix. So she's one win away of making it to the finals of the big tournament. So that just goes to show how much stock Rossy had in MIRAI in just the 2 years she was there, instead of staying in Stardom where she made a big name for herself. And again, in just 2 years in the #1 Joshi wrestling company and one of the biggest wrestling companies in Japan, she decided to go with Rossy. Again, we were kind of hinted a couple months ago of who may or may not be going to Marigold. And we saw this MIRAI name. It was kind of like, she can be one that's an absolute breakout because she's kind of somebody that's almost lost in the shuffle of the stacked deck that is Stardom, but someone that's going to shine through in Marigold. So again, kudos to her, and just goes to show just the loyalty that people have for Rossy Ogawa. The fact that she was only working underneath him for 2 years and decided to follow him from scratch one. That's a really kudos on the belief that MIRAI has not only in Rossy, not only in Marigold, but herself as well.
And it's interesting to see. I know that Wrestle Purists did an interview with Victoria Yuzuki, and I know that friend of the show, Scotty Wrestling, did a great interview with Utami. And it's interesting to hear the differing reasons why wrestlers left Stardom. So, for example, Victoria Yuzuki talked a little bit about how it's the start of a brand new company and how often do you get that opportunity. Utami was very much, I've completed everything in Stardom. I'm ready for a new challenge. I'm ready to be the top of a company. And MIRAI has answered, it's Rossy. Rossy is the reason I've left. And I think it's really interesting the different reasons that these women have come together as part of the Marigold roster. And it is a really interesting answer, that, but really honest as well, and really speaks, like I say, to Rossy's inspiration. The next question we asked was, during your time at Stardom, you developed a really close bond with both your Donna Del Mondo and God's Eyes teammate. How hard was the decision to leave them and make the jump to Marigold? Now, MIRAI answered, quote, I was truly blessed with my friends. They were the best of friends with whom I could have friendly competition. So I was sad to separate from them, but everyone kindly accepted my choice. We will only get bigger and stronger in our respective places so that we will have no regrets about the path we have chosen. I hope we can meet again in the ring. Again, a really enlightening answer. I was always interested to know how this would affect sort of backstage morale, how it will go down for people to, leave their friends, leave their units. But I think MIRAI almost has this philosophical outlook on it where it's a case of, do you know what? Yes, absolutely, I'm going to miss them, but this is for the betterment of me. We're all going to get better, and we might meet again in the ring as better people, as better in-ring competitors. And I like the fact that she's not necessarily dwelling on, I miss Amisori, or, I'm going to be lost without Syuri or something like that. In fact, she's sort of betting on herself and going, no, we're going to be better, and hopefully we'll meet again in the ring someday. I really like that answer, Matt.
Yeah, you look at Donald Del Mondo and God's Eye, where MIRAI, especially, year and a half, 2 years ago, kind of got lost in the shuffle of a Julia, of a Natsupoi, a Shuri, a current Micah now. The fact that she's like, okay, I won the Cinderella twice, but I'm going to go and kind of do my own thing. Yeah, she's only going to grow as a wrestler because she's going to be getting longer matches. She's going to be getting more main event matches. You're going to be seeing her having longer matches with the Utamis, with the Julias, with some of the other gaijins that they're going to bring in. And who knows, Rob, we're just coming off a few weeks away, the All Together show, where it's basically a whole bunch of wrestling companies coming together in the Budokan Hall for a really good cause, to help out some less fortunate, almost a charity show. So what's to say that in a year, 2 years from now, we don't get a MIRAI representing Marigold versus a Shuri representing Stardom, or representing a Micah, where we've seen Micah's better, Shuri's going to be better, MIRAI's going to be better, and you put them in a match, on a benefit show. Again, it's only going to just benefit the wrestling fans. But yeah, you're going to see MIRAI getting, as great as she is, she's only going to get a lot better because, again, she's going to be getting the main event matches and longer matches to go and tell her stories. And we've seen her when she was able to have those longer matches, like the Tam match where she won the Wonder Belt. The 2 matches she had with Soriano, terrific. The Momo Wonder of Stardom Championship match. Whenever she's tapped on the shoulder to have those longer matches, she absolutely delivers. And sometimes you just don't get that opportunity because it's not the right time in the story, or we're moving on to something else. We're here. With Marigold, she's going to be more of a focal point and have her longer matches and be able to tell out bigger, longer stories in front of big crowds. This Cork and Hall show, 1,500 people. She's going to be able to tell that story in front of 1,500 people. We know from watching the Stardom shows in Cork and Hall, those crowds are hot. So yeah, she's only going to get better wrestling in Marigold, where majority of the focus is going to be on her and her solely.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So we asked next. You were the Goddess of Stardom champion as the new eras with Amisori. Later in the career, were there ever any talks of you and Syuri going for the titles? And if so, what team would you have wanted to face? And MIRAI answered, quote, Syuri and I talked a lot about what kind of entrance we wanted to make if we formed a tag team, what we wanted to do in our matches, and what we wanted to communicate in our daily lives. We didn't talk about titles, but we both wanted to be strong and big, and I thought the belts would come after that. By the way, the team I personally wanted to play against was Aphrodite. Matt, if there is anything that makes me sad in this interview, that MIRAI and Utami are gone from Marigold, are gone from Stardom to join Marigold, is that we will never get that Shuri and MIRAI versus Utami and Saya match. However, the idea of it is enough. I think it would have been a fantastic match. And hey, we might get a MIRAI and Utami. Well, we probably will get a MIRAI and Utami match at some point down the line in Marigold. And, again, I'm not overly familiar with the At-Res Girls competitors, but I'm sure we'll get some sort of incarnation of that. And maybe we'll look at that and go, well, yeah, we could have had this, but we've actually got this now in Marigold. So, yes, we can dwell on that, but also, there's so many possibilities in Marigold now.
Yeah, again, because the two of us don't know too much about the girls from Actress Girls, and then obviously we have the training system going on Marigold. We've seen what they're doing in the ring. We've seen they're doing old school dojo beach training. So who knows? In 2 or 3 years, we might have something like a Shuri. We might have something like a Saya Kamatani. I know that's a high bar to kind of climb because of how great Saya and Shuri are. But we may get something like that. And Utami somehow is only going to get better. As great as she is, she's only going to get better. Same thing with MIRAI. I did, as much as it kind of pulled on my heartstrings that I wanted to wrestle Aphrodite. And literally, I'm sure you did, and everybody else that's hearing this interview, the first thing you're thinking of is across the ring, you have MIRAI and Shuri standing across the ring from Saya Kamatani and Utami Hayashishita. We're like, there's no way this can't be anything less than fantastic. But I did kind of funny when Shuri and I talked about what kind of entrance we wanted. Like, were they going to do like a dance? Because we know Shuri did do the ALK sisters dance. So it's like, were they choreographing a dance? Because then I'll say this, like, as much as with me and Andy, again, I don't wrestle nowhere near as much as I used to. When me and Andy would team up, we always go through certain tag moves and sequences and selling and psychology. And only up until about 2 years ago did we start like planning our entrance. And like we have to realize that it's not bell to bell, it's curtain to curtain. And Stardom does that pretty much almost better than any wrestling company out there, with the Minas and the Micahs and the Cosmic Angels and even Shuri just with the badass entrance. So I was like, were they going to do like some sort of dance, or were they just going to like kick and clothesline each other to hype each other up? Like you see in MMA fights where they smack the guy before he goes into the cage. Who knows?
Imagine.
Who knows? If we can elaborate on one question, if like we were sitting across from MIRAI and elaborate, that might be the only one where I'd have to elaborate on. Like, what is this entrance that you were planning? Like, I need to know now. So maybe we'll get a part 2 in the future, buddy.
I can imagine that in Sumo Hall with all the fire and stuff and matching robes looking like Dr. Death Steve Williams and coming out to Shuri. Like this amazing amalgamation of both Shuri and MIRAI's theme. Because I was a big fan of MIRAI's theme in Stardom. It would be incredible. I imagine you would feel like you'd taken a lariat just from that entrance alone. The next question we asked was, so you are only the second person to win the Cinderella tournament twice and in back-to-back years. What are some of your proudest achievements from your time in Stardom? Similarly, do you have any regrets as you begin your new adventure? Maybe something you wish you had achieved or done before you left? So MIRAI answered, quote, I am proud of all my accomplishments at Stardom, as I had absolutely no results in the past. 2 years in a row, Cinderella, Goddess, Artist, Wonder. I am amazed at myself for being able to achieve these accomplishments. But this is because of your support. If I had fought alone, I'm sure this would not have been the result. I'm truly grateful to everyone. I am a woman who is never satisfied with the status quo, and I always strive to get bigger and stronger. So I wanted to be the Cinderella for the first time in history for 3 consecutive years. And I also wanted to win the 5-star. Of course, I wanted to win the Worlds, Strong, and IWGP, and I still have opponents I want to beat, but I don't consider it a regret that I couldn't do it. I may have another chance to make it happen. Wrestling is a world where anything can happen. Again, we talked about a philosophical, easy for me to say, answer earlier on in the interview, and I think this is another one. Rather than seeing them as regrets, it's just an opportunity she hasn't had yet, or, the chance hasn't presented itself. It's good to see as well that she's not taking it for granted just what an amazing achievement it was to get those back-to-back Cinderella victories, to be an Artist, Goddess, and Wonder of Stardom champion in such a short time as well. She was only with the company wrestling actively for 2 years, and she had that injury as well in the middle of that. So to achieve all of that was amazing. And I'm glad that, she doesn't have any major regrets as she starts to go on to Marigold, where I'm sure there's plenty of success to have. And I love as well, just before I throw to you, Matt, I love the fact that she says, it's because of you fans. Just acknowledges the fans. It's because of your support. I wouldn't be able to do this without you. And I think that's a really, really classy answer.
Yeah, again, and when you're reading this interview, you're like, well, that's somebody as a fan. You're like, that's someone I can get behind. She's great in the ring. She's charismatic. She very hardworking in the ring. You can tell that she gives it all. She puts her soul into everything. And then when you're reading the interview, she basically gives the credit to the her fan base. So that's just really, really cool. But yeah, you just mentioned a minute ago, partner, she doesn't look as regrets. It's just like, it just hasn't happened yet. She's still very young into her career. She may be wrestling 5 years. She may be wrestling 10. We don't know. I mean, she'd be like Aja Kong when she's going to be wrestling, 40 years and just keep, Aja Kong's got the back fist where Mirai might just be layering at the young Joshi's coming up in 2050. So there's a lot left for her to do. And she sees it as, I didn't get there yet, but the opportunity may present itself and I will get there. So a really positive outlook she has there.
Absolutely. Next question was, you've had some of our personal favorite matches of 2022 and 2023, including your pair of matches with Sayoriano and your match with Momo Watanabe. But what matches from Stardom stand out to you as some of your own favorites? And this, again, really, really, really focused answer. Mirai answered, quote, 29th of January 2022, World of Stardom champion match versus Shuri. The day when many things changed. The day that there was a turning point for me. And I remember Nagoya Supreme fight, I believe, a really, really, really good match. And, Mirai had only just debuted in the company with Tekla as the Grim Reapers that were attacking Cosmic Angels, I believe, with Julia. And she was sort of put in that main event scene, and people were like, really? Already? Like, okay, sure, we'll see how this plays out. And actually, she hasn't looked back since. And, it's always good when you're interviewing a wrestler or talking to a wrestler when they're able to reflect on the career and go, actually, yeah, pinpoint that moment. That is exactly where my career started to take off. And actually looking at it, yeah, it probably was. In-ring matches, has she had better? Possibly. However, from a personal standpoint, I'd find it hard to argue that there was another point where Mirai's career had a bigger upwards trajectory than after that Shuri match.
Yeah, you just mentioned it when we were previewing this show back in early 2022, when I think I was only on the podcast a few months, but we were like, wow, Mirai's getting, it's not like she's a big name coming over from America, or she's somebody that left the company and then came back. She's somebody that just the Stardom fans that are strictly watching Stardom really don't know much, and she's getting a chance at Shuri. Not only a chance at Shuri, but Shuri's first title defense. She's coming off about a month to the day prior of defeating Utami Hayashishita, one of the greatest matches in Stardom history. And you look back at Shuri's title reign, in my opinion, it's the second greatest red belt reign behind Io's V14. Again, that's my opinion, but I think a lot of people have it in the top 3 or 4, right around there. The fact that this was Shuri's first match, it really started off with a bang. So not only was it a turning point for Mirai, but it was very important for Shuri coming off this big title win in a great match with Utami to start her championship reign off right. And the fact that she did it against an unknown to Stardom fans like Mirai, and this match absolutely delivered. I just watched this match about 3 or 4 months ago, and it's really, really good because I remember watching it live. I'm like, oh, that was pretty good. But knowing what we know about Mirai and going back and watching it, and folks, if you haven't seen this match in a while or haven't seen it at all, do yourself a favor. It's right there, 129-2022. Go back, watch Shuri versus Mirai because it is a very underrated classic match and one that kind of gets lost in the shuffle of the phenomenal title reign that is Shuri. But it seems like Mirai knew right then and there that she arrived at Stardom. And you fast forward a few months later, she wins the Cinderella tournament. Fast forward about 6 weeks after that, she has one of the best matches for the Wonder of Stardom Championship. So she's somebody that really grew confidence in that match with Shuri. So not only kudos to Mirai, but kudos to Shuri as well.
Yeah, agreed. We then asked, we sort of moved away from Stardom and started talking about Marigold. And our question next was, obviously, Rossy is a legend in wrestling. Can you talk a bit about your own personal relationship with him? Marigold will have its inaugural match. It was sort of 2 questions put together. Marigold will have its inaugural match on May 20th at Korakuen Hall. How excited are you to start, and what are some of your ambitions in the company? So Mirai answered, quote, Rossy Ogawa-san is a very great person. I respect him very much. Whenever I see Rossy Ogawa-san, he says, put your soul into it, or are you really putting your soul into it? And teases me about my soul, lol. I'm so excited about the flagship event. It's the most exciting. I am also able to translate the high expectations and attention from the audience into positive emotions. I believe that Marigold will be an organization that can and must provide a high level of satisfaction to its customers in many aspects. Because of that, we will aim for the top and keep pushing forward. A couple of things I took from this. So one, the playful relationship she has with Rossy. It's clearly a very supportive relationship, and clearly one where, they rib each other, a very caring relationship. But more than that sticks out is about how, when asked about her ambitions for the company or in the company, she doesn't speak about personal ambitions. She doesn't talk about becoming the icon. She doesn't talk about winning championships. She actually just talks about what she wants for the company, the success of the company. She says about how it must provide a high level of satisfaction to its fans. And I think that speaks a lot to Mirai's character, that she's not necessarily thinking of individual glory. She's thinking about the company and how the company succeeds, and how that company's success ultimately is going to affect the fans. And I think that's really speaks volumes about what Mirai's headspace is and her mindset is.
She seems very endearing to the fans. And in my
Yeah.
opinion, in all of wrestling, the person that's the most endearing to the fans is Cody Rhodes. And look what he's been able to do. Like, he seems generally like, okay, this guy cares about the fans. And kind of just going through this interview, when you sent it to me, partner, a few days ago, it's like, wow, she really, really cares about the fans. That's something we don't see as English, from the English speaking audience, because we're not getting the behind the scenes look. Or if they're talking, it's a language barrier. Like, we can see it in the face, we can see what they're doing in the ring, but we don't really get to see as far as the actual language and the types and the text. And that's one of the many great things I loved about this interview that we presented with Mirai, is you can see how much she truly cares about the fans. And I'm going to kind of throw a question at you, partner. She said that Rossy said, put your soul into it. Do you think he's talking to her, or you think he's talking to Mirai's left arm? Because, brother, we've seen some brutal left arm lariats from Mirai, even the point where her shoulder's all taped up, and whether it was worked or not, I don't know, and I don't want to know. But she throws some insane lariats. But I like that. Like, put your soul into it. And then it's just like, if she comes back and has like a good match that could have been great, or a great match that could have been excellent, I can see Rossy kind of standing behind the curtain. Well, I know, he sits at the table, but I can see him going to Mirai afterwards, looking at her like, do you really put your soul into that? And kind of just laughing, right? Like, okay, I'll hit Konami hard. I had Momo, now I have Konami. I'll hit her harder. And I could just see somebody be like if Konami's, you're like, really, Rossy, really? Like, now I got to deal with that now? You just pumped her up.
I just think it's the nickname of a left arm. I think she just calls them like soul and heart.
Now we know. Now we know what we're going to do, buddy. Look at that.
But you're right. It does make her very endearing, the fact that she does come across as very selfless. And it's only when we really sort of zero in on personal glory, like asking about the Cinderella tournament and things, that she speaks about personal accolades. It's all about the company. And that, for me, is really endearing and speaks to what she's like outside the ring as well. And I think that's really important. Now, little caveat to this: when we submitted the interview, it was before the full card had been announced for Marigold Fields Forever. Spoiler, things take time. So, like I said, this is an extremely bloody busy time for Marigold and Mirai and the entire roster. So, and that's not taking into account the obscene workload that Sonny's got. So, we asked the question, with the first show currently only having one match announced, who on the current Marigold roster would you most be excited to work with on the 20th of May? Obviously, when Mirai answered the question, it had been announced. So this is what she had to say. Mirai said, quote, it was announced that Shiaki will be my opponent for the first show. She is one of the unknown fighters that I have never fought before. So I'm very much looking forward to it. I don't know anything about my opponent's game yet, but she seems kind of heelish and evil. I am trying to be a hero, so I have to beat the bad guys. In Marigold, I hope to open up a few more drawers of my non-power side that I haven't shown before. Please enjoy. This is what I'm most intrigued about with Marigold Fields Forever. It's basically how the non-Stardom wrestlers are going to mesh with the Stardom wrestlers. So I sort of expect Nanae Takahashi versus Victoria Yuzuki. I expect that to be great because I've seen a lot of Nanae, I've seen a lot of Victoria Yuzuki, and I've seen a lot of what Nanae has done in these passion matches. However, I know nothing about Chiaki, so I don't know what her moveset is like or anything. Mirai has never wrestled Chiaki. So what is the chemistry going to be like between the two? And it's that sort of unknown that we as the fans, I think, it's exciting in terms of Marigold. There's so much that's unknown, like Bozilla in the main event alongside Sadi against Julia and Utami. That's like a proper curveball. Like, how is that Bozilla versus Utami going to be? Like, is Mirai's power game going to mesh with Chiaki's game? Like, and then Mirai even goes on to say, I'm going to have to open up a few more drawers of my non-power side. So we're actually, from what she says, they're going to see little additions to her game, little additions to her arsenal. So what's that going to be? Is that going to be a submission game? Is that going to be different sorts of moves? Are we going to see a moonsault from Mirai? I mean, who knows? Who knows? But I'm looking forward to it. And I'm intrigued to know what you think, Matt.
Yeah, I don't know anything about Chiaki either. And consider the fact right here, I know when I watched this on Monday the 20th, I know that she's a heel because she's heel and evil, and I'm trying to be a hero. Folks, wrestling, and I know we dissect it, we overanalyze it, it's kind of just what we do. Wrestling at its core is dragons and dragon slayers. Really, that's it. It's good versus evil. And I know going into this match, I already know what I'm getting with Mirai. You know, especially I hope she has the same music. We've heard Julia come out to her old theme. They're really good. I hope Mirai keeps the same music, the one where everybody can kind of clap to. We'll find out. And we'll find out on the 20th. But it's like, you know, you'll have that. You have the clap, you know, the crowd clapping behind her for over 1,500 people in Cork and Hall. I'm assuming she's going to get the streamers. And I know that Chaka is the heel. So it's going to be a simple story to tell. But the one thing we know what Mirai does, the hard hitting, the great technical wrestling that builds to the submissions, especially the Mirror Mirai, the double wrist lock. So what's this other non-power side? Is she going to be trying to do like flashy pin attempts? Like an Azumi, a Starlight Kid? Is it going to be a moonsault? Is she going to be a hardcore wrestler and Abdul the Butcher Forker? I don't know. I don't know if she's trying to be the hero. How do you slay the dragon? You with the sword. Maybe she does it with the fork. I don't know. But now this is something that's really going to be interesting to watch. And I think everybody now is going to be looking at this match at a different perspective just based on that question.
Yeah, agreed. I'm looking forward to it anyway because I feel like Mirai is going to flourish in Marigold. You know, completely blank canvas, and you know, there's no better place to sort of tweak your arsenal or tweak your offense or tweak your defense. And I think we're going to see lots of different things from Mirai as well, which I'm excited about. So another question we asked was, with rumors of perhaps a partnership with WWE, Io Sky and Kairi may be appearing on future shows, and with Sari appearing on Marigold Fields Forever, what are some other talents that you would like to face inside a Marigold ring or dream matches you would like to have? And Mirai answers, quote, I get excited just thinking about it. I'm looking forward to every match with someone I've never played. But closer to home, I am really looking forward to a match with Bozilla. Also, I don't know if it will come true, but Reena Yamashita-san, all really cool in my opinion. Reena Yamashita is someone that a lot of people sort of call out as a dream match. I think Utami said about Reena Yamashita as well, but I could be wrong. And basically just, she's clearly got a lot of respect from wrestlers in Japan. Mirai and Bozilla, if we get that at any point, that's going to be the meatiest match to ever meet. Like, it's just going to be meat, just lariat after lariat, slam after slam. Just the idea of that is very, very exciting. If we are to get Io and Kairi in Marigold for, you know, whether it's one shot, whether it's, you know, two big shows or whatever it is, Mirai getting the opportunity against a Kairi, for example, would be massive, I think, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I like how she really doesn't peel back the curtain here about Io, Kairi. She's just like, oh, that'd be cool. She mentions Bozilla putting over the Marigold talent. And then if what Marigold is going to do is very similar to what Stardom is doing, where Stardom is just opening the doors for every wrestler if it makes sense. If we get Reena Yamashin, who I don't think she's a contracted wrestler to anybody. Now, Reena is more towards like the hardcore style. However, I did see her at the very first Spark Joshi show last summer. Shout out to our friends over at Spark Joshi. You guys are all doing fantastic. She mentioned she wrestled Masa Slamovich and was easily the best match of that show. And it was a great show. And it was the first time I watched Reena wrestle an actual match where there's no crate, which is a straight up wrestling match. And obviously Masha's great, Reena's great. It went to a 15-minute time limit draw in a super hot building. And I don't mean just how the crowd, I mean, it was in the summer in New Jersey, no AC. And the fact that the two of them wrestled for 15 minutes nonstop was like, oh, Reena Yamash is somebody that's excellent. And I never really pegged her going into a Stardom back then because I just thought of the hardcore style. But seeing this question here, I would love to see her in a Marigold. You know, we know that they're going to be using some freelance talent. Reena versus Sari, Reena versus Mirai, Reena versus Utami. There's a lot of really great matches. But I think just because of the hard-hitting style that is both Reena and Mirai, yeah, that's a match I would like to see as soon as possible. So I hope they book that one because that'll be right up my alley, partner.
Yeah, and obviously we know that after Marigold Fields Forever, Marigold do have a tour, the Grand Opening Wars tour. So the chances of us seeing Mirai versus Bozilla in some sort of iteration, whether that's in tag or whether that's in singles, is very, very, very possible. So I'm looking forward to that because, again, I think their styles will mesh very, very well. And I genuinely think could be a really hard-hitting, really impressive match. Yeah, I like what you've said there. Yeah, she doesn't really get into the granular detail about a partnership with WWE, just gets excited thinking about it. So not giving too much away, and I appreciate that.
We get it.
Yeah, sure.
Kayfabe, sister.
Always kayfabe, always. So last question, and this is again sort of two meshed together, and one from Matt and one from me. Question: you're a very submission-based wrestler. Did you get the chance to train at the Snake Pit in Japan? And if so, what was that like? You've been in the ring with some of the hardest strikers in Joshi, Momo Watanabe, Syuri, Mayu Iwatani, to name a few. In your opinion, who is the hardest hitting fighter in Stardom? And we've asked this to quite a few people that we've spoken to. And well, we'll tell you Mirai's answer first. Mirai says, quote, I've had the opportunity to train at Yuki Nakai's place a few times, but it was cut short after an injury a long time ago. He let me freely do what I wanted to do and taught me all kinds of things when I asked. Now that I am in a good physical condition, I would love to ask him to let me practice again. Speaking of hard hitting, I would have to say Syuri, the leader of God's Eye. I would not want to get kicked by Syuri if I could help it, lol. It hurts not only where you are kicked, but also to the core of your body. But pain is spice for pro wrestling. If someone kicks me, I become a catcher's mitt. I take it all, still get up and finally hit a Mirai lariat for the 3 count. The coolest top hero ever made. I'm such a huge fan of that final bit, just incredible. It does make you wonder, like, most people that we talk to say that Syuri is the hardest striker in Stardom, by a distance. A couple of people have said Mayu, a couple of people have said Momo, and then did someone say Julia? I can't remember.
Mariah May said it was a toss-up between Julia and Mayu, and then Deonna Purrazzo said Hazuki.
That's right. Hazuki was the one I was thinking of. I couldn't remember. But yeah, it does make me laugh that it doesn't just hurt where you're kicked, it radiates around your body. And you think about the people who take Syuri kicks like on a regular basis, like Natsupoi in that 5-star match where she takes about 7. And you're like, oh, she must be an absolute agony. But yeah, I enjoyed that. And then that final bit about just becoming this catching mitt for pain and using it like Black Panther. Just the more kicks she takes, she absorbs and becomes more powerful. Man. I love that.
Yeah, and really a great question and a great answer to end it. Like literally perfect. It was, I kind of just figured because anybody that trains at the Snake Pit, there's 3 accredited Snake Pits in the world. The one in Japan, which is the one we talked about, the one by me in New Jersey, and then the one a couple hours away from you in Wigan. Those are the 3 main Snake Pits. And one of the main things that they teach at the Snake Pit is the double wrist lock. And that's why I kind of want to ask this question, is because she uses the Mirai, the double wrist lock. So I was wondering, with her being in Japan, Billy Robinson, his chair is still there. We've seen Mariah May and Mina train there and take pictures there. I was wondering if she had the opportunity to train at the Snake Pit over in Japan, and it looked like she has, and hopefully she'll be able to get back there now that she's healthy in between her tours with Marigold. So yeah, that was a really, really fun one. And now I'm really excited to ask Natsupoi when we have our interview with her. That's all going to be questions of Sherry kicking her ass. So.
Absolutely. But yeah, it was a really enlightening interview from MIRAI. It was a really honest interview, which I really do appreciate. And again, thank you to Marigold. Thank you to MIRAI for the time that you've taken to help us with the interview. Thank you, Sonny, if you're listening. We couldn't have done that without you. And thank you again to Chiyoko Asakura for all the translation work as well. Again, thank you very, very much. Hopefully, this will not be the last Marigold interview that we are able to give you. Maybe we'll be able to do a video one. Who knows? It's up in the air at the moment. But again, I thought it was really good to get that out there. And I think it's a really good precursor as well as we get closer to Marigold Fields Forever, that first show. Again, don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, if you're watching this preview and are on the fence, you can sign up to Wrestle Universe 7-day free trial. Marigold shows are all going to be on Wrestle Universe, most of which are going to be live streamed. I think there's 2 that aren't, going from May all the way through to the start of June. I believe there's 2 that are going to be video on demand. But even so, Wrestle Universe is absolutely worth your time. It really, really is. If you haven't already, you can follow Marigold, their Japanese profile at DSF_Marigold, their English Twitch channel at Marigold_Joshi. Don't forget to follow Chiyoko Asakura as well on Twitter at Chiyoko Asakura. Follow Mirai as well. She's the world's greatest hero. Why would you not want to follow her? At Mirai_SS_. And yes, don't forget to follow us as well at Marigold Podcast. There we go. I got it right this time. At Marigold Podcast. All of the episodes of this podcast, as you are hopefully going to realize, will be on the Stardom Cast feed, but all of our Marigold news and things like that will be on that Twitter page. So please go and check that out. If you're a Patreon, thank you so much. Patreon.com/the Stardom Cast. All these episodes early, ad-free for $1 a month. It is a steal. Check out the website, www.thestardomcast.com, where if we have more interviews in the pipeline, but we'll let you know a little bit more when we know a little bit more. There are more coming, though. And in the meantime, thank you so much for all of your support. We really could not do this without you. You can find my social media if, for whatever reason, you wanted to follow it, at Real Rob Goodwin. And finally, just before I throw to you, Matt, don't forget our live review, Marigold Fields Forever, 20th of May, Monday, 8:30 p.m. British Standard Time. We will be live talking about everything from that first Marigold show in Corrigan Hall. Matt, sign us off, good sir.
Real quick before I get the plugs, I didn't get a chance to podcast with you last week. We're talking all things Mirai. Mirai, how fantastic did she look in her new gear on that 8-person tag on Noah?
That new gear was incredible. I mean, the match stole the show anyway. Besides that and the main event, which I thought was actually quite good as well. Kaito Kiyomiya and Hiho L. Dr. Wagner Jr., I think. Something like that.
Wagner.
Yeah, just Wagner will do. But yeah, I thought that match was really, really good. I thought he was really good. Mai Sakurai, I thought, looked really good in that match. When you consider who was surrounding her, you'd think that maybe she'd get overlooked, but I thought she looked really good. But yeah, Mirai's gear, absolutely top notch. Well done. 5 stars.
Yeah. And I mentioned this last week, and again, since we're on the top of Mirai, I thought she was the MVP of that match. So yeah. This is we're doing a lot of new journeys here on the Stardom Cast and Marigold Standard. I thought this was absolutely great. Part of this is 90% Rob's brainchild with just me sprinkling a lot of stuff in. So if you like this, give all the kudos to Rob, and do follow him over at Real Rob Goodwin and buy his books, folks. Buy his books; they're well worth your money. If you buy them in bulk, you get the free shipping. you get them to free shipping. So I can't plug enough, and they're worth it. They're even worth with the shipping price. Regardless, questions, comments, book reviews, anything you need from me, only wrestling book reviews. Anything you need from me, Matt Turner OF. Yeah, I'm not that
not
good.
Moby
Comics.
Dick or anything.
No, I'll do comics. You want to talk some Batman, The Long Halloween? I got you there. Matt Turner OF on the Instagram and or the Twitter. You want to shoot me an email? That's perfectly fine as well. The StardomCast22@gmail.com is the best way to get a hold of me via email. Folks, that's going to wrap it up for a newer episode that we have here. We hope you enjoyed it. Leave us some comments. Let us know what you think, because like I always say, it's just not my podcast. It's our podcast, because we're all together. Everybody's different. Everybody's special.